Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking about my process of using Tombows for my portraits. Now I use Tombows like watercolors, so I like to lay down the color and then come with a brush, add some water and blend that way. I know there's many ways you could use Tombows, but that's just the particular way I like to use it. So I wanted to show you that process because, like I said, everybody has a different process. Everybody's a little bit different in the way they handle their art supplies. So for me, tumbles are really fun to use, especially when I use them like watercolor because that's something that I'm very comfortable with. So hopefully you like my process. Hopefully you're able to learn something from it. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe and let me know how you use your tumbles so maybe I could learn something from you. What I do is I always do swatches of all my art supplies so that way I know exactly how they're going to look. And the swatches are also on the Canson XL mixed media paper because that way I know exactly how the tumbles are going to work with the paper that I'm going to use. Now the other reason why I do swatches is for me to be able to see the colors that I have and then plan out the colors that I'm going to use. So it's going to save me a lot of time in the long run. So for example, I'm going to pretty much going to use some browns in this family, and those browns come from the complexion set or portrait set that Tombow sells. I believe it's 10 pens that are all skin tone. So you could go to. I bought mine at Michael's, so they're very easy. They're easily accessible. Excuse me. And I'm going to put a link down below of places where you could buy that set. I think that set is really easy for me to start doing portraits. Brushes that I'm going to be using are this Royal and Langnickel mixed media brushes. I got my Michaels. I like them because they're able to hold water but not too much like watercolor, and they're synthetic and very inexpensive, so I don't feel guilty if they go bad. However, I have these brushes for about 2 years and I use them for many other projects, including wash, watercolor, and acrylic inks, and they've been holding up really good. So I highly recommend these brushes, especially if you're in a budget. I believe they're $5 for 10, but last time I checked on Michael's it was 5 for 15, so they raised up the prices, unfortunately, but still it's a pretty good deal. So one thing that I found with Tombows is that you want to start with the lighter colors first and then build your way up, and you really want to use the darkest colors last because Tombows reactivate really easy with water. So with this one, I'm going to start first with, let me see, 942. 942. Here. And they all are numbered, by the way. And don't rely on the cap. It's not they're not as reliable. Like for example, 942, you see the color is really not the same as the cap. Okay. So I'm starting with 942. I'm just going to do a layer. Just like this. And then I'm going with the water. You're going to see that it reactivates super fast. Now you could push the pigment around and kind of make it spreadable. Then I'm going back in again and I'm going to add some more color. Let me look at my reference. I'm going to add a little bit more color over here, this way. And excuse me about my nose, I'm a little sick right now. So you hear all those sniffles, I'm sorry. Okay, so as you can start seeing how easily it is to activate and blend in this paper at least. And I'm really not using a lot of water. Okay. So we're going to let this dry. Actually, I could probably go to the neck. To the neck area. So it'll be the same process. Just use a little bit of ink and then blend. Now with this one, actually, if I want to start with the shadows, then I'll probably get 977, and I could do a little bit in here just to get some of that shadow going. Then I could start blending. Same brush. But here I'm going to show you why I also say to keep them last. You see, like they reactivate super fast. Okay, so as you were able to see, this became like the water just started to pull out the ink, and if you're not careful, that ink is gonna go everywhere, like it kind of did in the part in here. But I was able to pull it, and it wasn't that bad because it was kind of dry at that point. But if there was being like a lot of water in it, all the dark ink would probably have meshed together, and it would create like a muddy mess. Okay, so let me check. So as I continue to work, I continue to look at my swatches and see what color I'm going to use. So I use 942 for the entire. Right now I use 977 to create some shadows. And I think I'm going to use that as well to create some more shadows in the face and add a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to start this, and we're gonna add some here. So what is here and here. That's how we're going to start. And I'm going to use a smaller brush. Let you see how fast they reactivate. dragging the pigment around a little bit. Going to add some shadow on this side of the face. And it really just to add a little bit more dimension. Now, I am someone who likes to leave some of the brush strokes on the painting, so sometimes I do try to blend as much as I can, but I find that is a little frustrating. So how can I explain it? It's frustrating for me sometimes to try to blend and make it as realistic as possible. I know some people are really good at that, but I'm not. So I'm just kind of realized that my style is to have a little bit more of that brush strokes left in the painting. It's okay, and not really worry about trying to blend it to make it look super realistic, because that's just not my style, and it just gets me frustrated, to be honest. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of blush on her. So what color did I pick? 772. This might be a nice. Now let me see. Let me try something I haven't tried before. So I'm going to grab some pigment with one of your thing, just to kind of give her some blush, but that doesn't seem to be working. So we're going to go like that. This is a very sort of pink, I see. So we're gonna try this again. Just a little bit. To add a little bit dimension to the face. Let's see. I know it's looking like a mess, but just trust the process. We're going to, let me see. I think I'm going to add a little bit more dimension here on the neck area. Just because that's where the shadows are. Again, we're gonna go with some water. Just kind of drag it out like this. So I'm kind of liking the look of it. So I'm going to start going to using the detail brush, the detail side of the pen to start defining the eyes. And we are not going to forget about the waterline. To go back to 912, I think. No, this one. I hope my head is not on the way. So I don't really know what to talk about when I'm doing this. I just get so quiet. I just concentrate. I do the same thing when I'm eating. Like, I don't really like to talk, and my husband's always asking me if I'm okay. Because I don't really talk when I'm eating. Okay, so I'm going to need a little brush. Okay, so this is a Princeton round. I don't even remember where I got it from, but that's the smallest one that I can find that is not for my watercolor. I don't really like to mix my watercolors with my watercolor brushes with any other type of medium. Just because they are a little too precious for me. There we go. Now I'm getting a little bit more definition. And just a little bit on this way. There we go. Now for the lips, I like to give always a bold lip. Because why not? That's just too bright. But we are going to dilute it. I like to wear lipsticks a lot. That's just the type of person that I am. Like, I cannot leave my house without lipstick on. Even on days where I'm not wearing nothing like special, I have to put on my lipstick. I don't care if I'm in PJs. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. So now I'm going with the hair. But I'm going to make sure that everything around it is dry. Otherwise, it's just gonna the water is gonna pull up the pigment. It's going to be messy. For the black, you don't really need a lot, to be honest. It depends on how much intense you wanted it to be. But here, let me just do a couple. I forgot the year. You know what? Let's cover the year. I have a hard time doing ears, so that's the easy way out. Okay. You see how it just starts pulling the color? That's why I recommend you go with the darkest colors last, because of that same reason, especially the black. But look at that, how pretty it moves around. Kind of like that cool, nice effect. It's almost as if it's like a blue and black ink together. I don't know if you could tell on this side. It's really, really pretty. I'm going to do the same here. There we go. Look how pretty. Now, if you want, you could go and fix this, but I really like those effects. So I'm going to leave that like that, and I'm going to dry. I'm going to let it dry before I go with the eyebrows, and then with the eyebrows, I'm debating whether I want to do them black. I might have to. I don't know. Decisions. Well, I guess I could go with them black. I mean, the brown. Then it's going to be weird. Oh gosh. Let me do the nose first to get some definition. And then I'm gonna go over these two. Messed up. What should I do? You know, it gets to the point where you think you have it figured out, but then you don't. And where did I leave that brush? Okay, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to try to blend the nose a little bit. But I'm also going to get some paint off of it. Just like that. Just so it doesn't look so dark. And then I just messed it up. What was I thinking? I don't know. Oh, there we go. Not bad, not bad. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing with the eye. Make sure I take some water off. Okay, now we're gonna go with the eyebrows. I'm gonna make them black. So hopefully it works out. And I'm going to use this tiny itty bitty brush again. I'm going to tap the excess off. That's not bad. And just a little bit, and then okay. And it's almost done except for the lips. I want to give them a little more definition. So I have 725, maybe 856, 847. Yeah. And again, I'm going to use that little tiny brush. Get the excess water off. Just kind of start blending. Much better. And I'm going to do one more brown with the brown. Let me see. Yeah, 977 in the eyes. And I'm going to be careful because I already put the black waterline here on top, and I don't want it to smudge. Perfect. Now one last thing. What was I was going to do? Oh, the waterline again. Okay, and we're just going to add some white highlights. I'm going to be using the Uniball pen in white. Let me make sure it's dry first. Some highlight here, right by the eyes. And there it is. So hopefully you were able to learn something from this. Again, this is the way I work with my Tombows, and you might have a different way of working with them. If you do, please let me know. I would love to hear in the comments. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.